Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So our guest speaker tonight is Provost Wolf. I apologize for my voice. I'm losing it. But yes, it was not present this morning, and then we testified at the State House, and now it's going away again. So if it gives out, my apologies. But Provost Wolf, you can go ahead and get started.
Great. Welcome, everybody. I was saying I'm sorry not to be there in person. I was also at the State House today, and I live outside of Indianapolis, so I'm back at home. You might see a cat or two, or maybe hear a cat or two. I don't know. We'll just have to see. But I'm really happy to be able to be here today, and I'm also happy to come back and talk to everyone again. Um, Maybe the quickest place to start is just I'll tell you a tiny bit about myself and what a provost is. Yeah, there's a cat. You might be able to see a cat in the background. And basically, provost is academic speak for like chief academic officer. So across Purdue and not only in West Lafayette, Indianapolis, but also at Purdue Fort Wayne and Purdue Northwest, which is in Gary, Indiana, Northwest Indiana, if you know it. I'm ultimately responsible for everything that happens that's academic in nature. So I don't have to worry about hiring and firing coaches and all that kind of stuff. I don't have to worry about athletics, but everything else across campus that has to do with students or faculty, professors, staff members, all that kind of stuff, that ultimately sort of lands on my desk. Um, and you could kind of imagine that at any university, there's always a president and a provost, and we work really closely together. In my case, it happens to be that Meng and I met years ago when he was an early career professor at Princeton, and I was an early career professor at Harvard. We both happened to be electrical engineers, computer science type of people, and we collaborated for many years on a grant to study networks. He was interested in communications networks, and I was interested in sort of statistical network analysis and social networks and things like that. So anyway, I won't bore you with too much more about my background, but I was born in Chicago and grew up partly in the city and partly in small town Illinois, not too different from outside of Lafayette, and went to a small high school, small grade school, no AP courses, anything like that. But I loved math and science, and if I had grown up in Indiana, then probably Purdue would have been recruiting me. But because I grew up in Illinois, the University of Illinois recruited me. Um, I went to basketball camp in high school and jazz camp, and I ended up studying electrical engineering, but also music. I'm a classically trained trombonist. I keep threatening to play with the pep band. Maybe that'll happen next year. But anyway, over the course of my career, I had mentors who encouraged me to spend time abroad. So I did a PhD fellowship at Cambridge in Great Britain and taught at Harvard for a long time. Was back in London for many years and helped set up the National Institute in Great Britain for data science and artificial intelligence. And one of the coolest things was I got to get our hands on an Enigma machine. If you've ever seen one of those, it's one of the coding decoding machines from World War II that was used in the war that Alan Turing sort of famously helped crack. Anyway, so I joined Purdue as dean of the sciences about 7 8 years ago now. At the same time, Meng, who's now president, joined as dean of engineering, and we both led our respective parts of the university. So the academic side in the sciences and in engineering, respectively. And then when he became president, I became provost, which, as I said before, is sort of responsibility for everything except for things like athletics and things like that. So I know there was a long list of questions that folks submitted in advance, and I might have covered a few of them just by telling you a bit about my background. But I'm gonna kind of look at them here and maybe go through. I think sort of some of the questions are like, how did I get to where I am in my career, and what was it like? When I was a student, as I said, I really enjoyed math and science, and so, but I also loved music, and I knew that music was going to be a difficult way to make a living. My parents were pretty relaxed about it. They said, as long as you keep your grades up, we don't mind if you do a second major in music. And so I did that, and I got really interested in the intersection of the two areas. So I learned how to be a recording engineer and how to do everything from mic up a full orchestra and record a classical concert to doing sort of live sound for punk bands and all that kind of stuff. And I went on to learn the electrical engineering side of audio, and then I went on to learn about sort of speech and hearing and acoustics and all that kind of stuff. Over the years, my intellectual interests shifted, but when I was working on my PhD, so after undergraduate, I decided to go to graduate school, and I was really interested in again combining my interests. It was the early days of sort of digital audio, if you can imagine that. And so I worked with somebody who had started a company to take old audio recordings and restore them. So sometimes they're just really noisy or scratchy. Sometimes they were damaged, and everything from you might know there was a recording technology that used wax cylinders and the end of the 2 centuries ago, all the way through to old sort of vinyl records. If the last copy of a record had been cracked and somebody glued it back together, there's a very interesting audio modeling and restoration problem. So as I said, I was just lucky. There was an advertisement the year that I finished my studies. There was an advertisement at Harvard. I didn't know a soul there. I just applied blind, and they were interested. And before you knew it, I was moving myself to Boston and getting started. And one thing I really enjoyed is that Harvard and MIT, they share, like the Harvard Medical School has a joint program with MIT engineering. And so I was teaching at both Harvard and MIT engineering, and I got to teach courses about speech and hearing sciences for, say biomedical engineers who decided they might want to go on to medical school. And I actually had known about that part of Purdue for many, many years. Purdue has a really famous program in audiology and, again, sort of the science of hearing. It's been a really strong program at Purdue for a long time. I One of the things that influenced my decision to kind of come back to the Midwest, and I think you'll find this if you talk to your professors, this applies in a lot of cases. Because I was born in Chicago, my extended family is all still in the Midwest. And when I was younger, living in Europe, for example, they would very eagerly come over and visit me, and we would spend holidays together and things. But as they got older, it just started to be clear that it would be a little bit easier if I was sort of back in the good old U.S. of A. And so I was looking around at opportunities, and there happened to be a great match at Purdue. And I had some scientific collaborators here. I had worked a little bit on imaging and image processing. You may or may not know the team that's responsible for all of the camera work for the iPhone is led by a Purdue graduate. And I worked with him when he was previously at Sony. The whole team moved from Sony to Apple, but I used to do a lot of work on digital cameras and digital imaging with people from Purdue, and then this alum who went to work at Sony and then at Apple. And so Purdue was just a great fit, and I knew people from the research side of Purdue, and as I got to meet the rest of the Purdue team, it just seemed like a great opportunity. Maybe the most exciting thing that I came in the middle of was just Purdue had really been growing, and especially in fields related to science and engineering. So it's always fun to be part of something that's growing and improving and just getting better and better. And that's kind of what brought me to kind of where I am. I'll say just a couple more things and then maybe kind of open it up for questions. I think in terms of my own career, I was pretty, you know, when I went to the University of Illinois, it was a big institution like Purdue is, and I learned a lot about being really persistent. Like I had to really push to be able to do a double major with music because there wasn't. I mean, if you think about it, there's very little course overlap. And I remember running around and getting all kinds of forms signed, and I learned to be, I think, sort of really persistent in and kind of not taking no for an answer. I learned how to approach professors and ask them. Like I remember, I didn't really love physics, but I had one physics professor I liked, and I asked him one day, like, "Hey, it was like a spring semester course," and I said, "Hey, like, is there any chance that you need some help over the summer? Would I be able to work in your lab? And I ended up writing code to do statistical simulations for him. So that was really fun. And then all those people that I met during my undergraduate years, when I was thinking about graduate school, they were in a position to know me well enough to write letters of reference for me. And I think a place like Purdue and Illinois was similar. Um, it's big enough that you can just kind of you can find your niche in almost anything. And even in my case, I would have had trouble doing both my degrees at a small institution because I just would have had trouble scheduling everything. But a large university, there's always a million sections of all the courses, and so you can kind of fit it in. Um, I think past PhD, what's been really fun and interesting is to be a professor is a little bit like being an entrepreneur. You get to pursue your own ideas, you get to start your own lab and figure out how to get your work, sort of funded and all that kind of stuff. And I'm a theoretician, so my interests these days are really kind of proving theorems about networks and algorithms that run on networks and algorithms that run on large data sets. But over the course of my career, I've had lots of great opportunities. For example, I got a chance to visit with lots of people in the U.S. Department of Defense and learn about really, really, practical, real-world challenges that I could go back and use to sort of stimulate my own research interests. Um, and the ability to sort of pursue what you want as a professor, and yet dip in and out of the rest of industry and other parts of the world is just really, really fun. These days I still have a PhD student and a postdoc, and I still publish, I still write papers. My rate is slower because day to day, it's a little bit like being the mayor of a city of 60,000 people, because if you add up all the students and staff members and faculty members at Purdue, you get sort of a city of 60,000 people embedded in another city. So day to day, if I have time, I get to work on math problems, but often I wake up in the morning and I'm looking to see, hopefully there wasn't any crime or tragedy that involved a student. Hopefully the university is running smoothly. Hopefully we know what's going on at the State House. We know what's going on in Washington, and we're keeping a close eye on things. And hopefully we're getting excited for whether it's getting ready for spring break or going to see the Big Ten men's tournament, or getting ready for graduation. You'll probably know we have 9 graduation ceremonies. So day to day for me, what's really fun right now is no 2 days are the same. It could be that I'm at a dinner hosting distinguished professors one night, and then the next day I'm at the State House learning about how the state of Indiana is trying to improve, mathematics education for primary school students and things like that. So it's at this point, like, looking over the whole university is much, much broader than my own intellectual interest area and expertise. But that's also part of the fun, because from one day to the next, like, you just get an enormous different set of questions and challenges and opportunities. So let me sort of stop there and throw it open. I'll check and see if there's any questions I missed. I mean, maybe just the last one is, where do I see Purdue in the next, like, 10 or 20 or 30? And one of the really fun things about working as a university is you get to think about those questions. Like, as a student, you come and you might stay for 4 years or 6 years, or even a little bit longer if you stay all the way from freshman year all the way through, maybe doing an advanced degree. But um, working at a university, you really do get to think about 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. Um, I want Purdue to be absolutely at the top rank. I mean, that doesn't mean that it's going to be a place that has to look and feel like Harvard or Cambridge, or Princeton or Caltech or whatever. But I want to bring the best faculty to Purdue and make sure that they're supported, and I want to help bring the best student body to Purdue, and again, make sure that everybody who's here as a student feels equally well supported, whether that's coming at age 18 as a freshman from who knows anywhere across the world, all the way through to somebody that joins us and does, maybe a PhD. I mean, maybe they've done a first degree internationally, or maybe they grew up in Indiana. It's really just trying to, help us get the best people here and support everybody's success. So, again, I'll sort of stop there. I mean, it's again, it's an unusual job, I guess you could say. Each university has a provost, um, works very closely with president, and that that's kind of a little bit about my background and a few of the questions that there were probably 20 or 30 questions that came my way, so I'm not sure I touched on all of them, but I'm happy to open it up and address anything that's on anyone's mind to the best of my ability, and also, like I said, very happy to come back and do it again another time. I'll stop there. I can see that I've stunned everybody into silence, so go ahead.
I was just gonna ask a little bit about your music background. How do you think pursuing music as you go through higher education has helped you in your studies and work in other fields?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I was a little bit lucky, like science and engineering or science and math came easily to me in high school. And I actually enjoyed music because it was a little more of a challenge. And the more that I worked at it, the better I got, which was great, a great feeling. And my parents were pretty, as I said, they were pretty relaxed. They didn't want me to maybe only get a music degree and not, not it. Basically, it's hard to get a job with a music degree, but they were very copacetic about saying as long as as long as you keep your grades up, you can kind of do what you want. But I think for me, it certainly gave me an appreciation for all parts of a university. And I spent, I mean, kind of like you can imagine, the engineering school at Illinois was enormous, but the music school is pretty small. And I spent a lot of time hanging out at the music school. My engineering classes were, lots of men and not too many women, whereas music was much more like 50-50. So I got to see like some of the challenges in STEM in terms of student representation, faculty representation. I just got to see like two different things maybe from being in such disparate disciplines without a lot of overlap. And then I think later when I was a graduate student, I would say at the beginning of graduate school was a lot of music and a little thesis, and then by the end of graduate school it was a lot more thesis and a little bit less music. But it was a really big part of my day-to-day life. I led a big band, and I had a quintet, and I played in a funk band, and we would play weddings and all those kind of gigs. But I think just intellectually, it's a little bit like spending time studying abroad or living or working abroad. It's just, doing a couple things that are intellectually distinct. It kind of just is opens your mind a little bit. Um, I think the only other thing I would say maybe is music and some sports are like this. You can do them throughout your life, and you don't have to necessarily worry about whether you're going to do something as a job or not. Some sports you kind of don't get that much of a chance to do after maybe high school, but other sports like tennis, or golf, you can play them when you're 18, but you can also play them when you're, 58 or 78. And music's a little bit like that. You can kind of pick it up or put it down at different points in your life, and it's always there. Like when I first moved to Lafayette, I went and played some concerts with There's a summer band. Like lots of small, medium-sized towns have bands and things like that. So it's also just a great way to get to meet people. I had a mathematics collaborator who lived in Vienna, and we would work on music together, and then we would go to jam sessions in the evening. So it was always really fun. So it was, it's been a really important part of my life. In a perfect world, maybe I wish we could take the conservatory that's in Bloomington and put it here instead. But, uh, but, um, I think, Purdue has amazing musical programs, and I'm always excited to support those too. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an answer. Like I don't get to use music much in my day to day, but I think it's really important to stretch and exercise your brain. And as I told somebody, like, it's not like I go home at night and read engineering books for fun. I mean, I'd rather, I'd rather read about music history or something like that. Does that, I hope that, did that answer your question? I'll tell you more if you want me to.
From your perspective as someone who's worked with AI and as provost, what do you think about the use of AI in the classroom?
Yeah, I think we're all going to have to get used to it. I was talking to Mung today, and I pulled up a PDF document on my phone. It was actually one of these draft pieces of legislation, like we were talking about right before this session started, and I opened it on my phone in Acrobat, and Acrobat immediately asked me if I wanted a large language model summary of this, 50-page draft bill. And I said, yes, yes, of course. I mean, who wants to read 50 pages of stuff if you can get a good summary? So I think it's really about figuring out the right place for these tools. A little bit like calculators. I mean, we would never say, I mean, you would never mistake being able to use a calculator for being educated in mathematics, but we also probably would tell you that, we're not, nobody's going to make you try to solve a problem with hand tied behind your back and not use a calculator or something like that. So I think with AI, the tough part is the tools are evolving so quickly, but I do think inevitably we will want the need to figure out how to incorporate them in the classroom. In other disciplines like writing, like creative writing, I think it's a little bit different. I mean, maybe you can, if you really don't want to do the assignment, I'm sure you can get a large language model to generate a short story for you. But there, I feel like it really kind of misses the point of the exercise. I mean, learning how to write is sort of equivalent in some ways to learning how to think. And in some cases, even though you might be able to use AI as a shortcut, um, I don't think it's no substitute for really learning how to think. Later on, like if you're a professional speechwriter and you want to use AI to like draft your, get a zeroth draft or first draft of your speeches, I think that's fine. But I think when you're going through the learning process of how to write or how to think or how to do mathematics, because AI is clearly going to revolutionize how we do research in mathematics, I think it's really important to learn from the ground up. We are talking a little bit about whether we ought to have a sort of AI fluency or AI literacy requirement across Purdue before graduation. I mean, I think we're always really cautious about, we don't want to sort of impose more requirements, but I do think we want to make sure that everyone at Purdue has a chance to get exposed to AI and start to understand the tools even when they're evolving really rapidly. Um, I worked in speech recognition for some time, and it was really a little bit like these generative AI models. Like, people have worked on speech recognition since the 1950s, and it never worked, and it never worked, and it never worked, and there was more and more research funding pumped into it, and one of the first commercial companies, speech recognition was for doctors who were transcribing their notes, and so the vocabulary was very, very small and constrained, and it sort of barely worked. And the company survived for a while, and it went out of business. And then eventually, data and compute and algorithms advanced to the point where now you have passable speech recognition, voice recognition on your phone, and things like that. So I think AI has been, I've had colleagues who have worked in AI since the 70s or the 80s, and boy, I mean, it was a long time in the wilderness, but once things started to work, I mean, the change is really coming quickly. So, again, it happens to be in my background, so I was lucky to know some of the people who have really driven some of the advances, but most of them, they didn't just show up like 3, 4 years ago. I mean, there are definitely people like the chief scientist at Meta at Facebook. I mean, he was Jan LeCun. I mean, he was active in this area in the 70s when, like, I mean, I wasn't doing any research in the 70s. I was, young, right? And most of you were definitely not born until way well after that. So, like, a lot of people who have driven these advances have been working on it for a really long time, but the business of it sort of not working at all and then suddenly getting to the point where it's really, really starting to look useful. I've seen that in a few other technologies before. So again, hope that answers your question a little bit.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us today. I first wanted to acknowledge I'm super inspired because I think you and I have a lot of the same like career passions and interests. I'm in data analytics. I do music with the Purduettes. I'm in a band, and I'll be going to London in the fall for my master's degree. So it's super cool to hear the ways that you've used all those things in your career. I just wanted to ask, similar to AI, what are some things that you're seeing come down the academic pipeline that students should be aware of, on guard for, things that the university is working towards, maybe some things that student government should be aware of?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think we're always trying to get the balance right at Purdue. Like we are clearly like a STEM. We have a lot of strengths in STEM, but I don't think we ever want to become like a narrow technical institute. Um, like we don't want to follow the path of a Georgia Tech or a Caltech um, where we're not a comprehensive university. So I think we're always looking at ways where at Purdue disciplines like the liberal arts and humanities can support and complement and augment what we're doing in STEM. I mean, you can think about an area like the digital humanities. When I was in London, we had a pretty tight partnership with the British Library. They were busy trying to digitize and make available like some of the most important manuscripts and in the northern hemisphere, for example. um, I think so. I think for Purdue particularly, of course, we're trying to stay at the leading edge of, hypersonics and aerospace and semiconductors. Um, but I think it's also very, very important that we give everyone who's here a chance to be well-rounded and again to stretch and exercise your brain in different ways. Um, I wish looking back, I mean, I was so deep in engineering and in music that I wound up a little bit shallow on other things. Like I wish I'd had a chance to take more history courses. Like I had a couple history courses, but they were music history, which is great. But I would have loved looking back on it to have a few more topics that would have rounded out my education. So the other thing I think we're trying to get the balance right is we've kept tuition frozen for a long time. We have pathways to a degree in like 3 years or 3 years plus a summer, which can save students and families money. But I also want to make sure that there's other opportunities that are really important, like studying abroad. Again, I think is a great chance to stretch and open your mind. And I never want to put anybody in a situation where they don't feel like they could do a study abroad experience because their schedule is too tight or there's no way to get the classes that they need. So I think there's more that we can do there. I think our STEM strengths will continue to accrue almost without thinking too much about it, but I want to make sure that we stay kind of really comprehensive. Trying to think if there's anything else that comes to mind. I mean, the four big strategic priorities at the moment that we've defined are the business school, which is really being, kind of relaunched and revamped. And again, it's sort of partnering with other parts of campus. Our new Indianapolis location, which again is the same quality, the same degrees, the same graduation ceremony, the same everything. But of course, it's a different experience if you're living in Indy, a city of 1 million people. It's different, a different look and feel than West Lafayette. We have a big strategic initiative in Purdue Compute, so it's kind of all things computing. But again, broadly inclusive. I mean, there's enormously interesting questions in the history and philosophy of science. There's lots of questions in the philosophy of AI. Philosophy meets AI. And then lastly, our most recent initiative is all around sort of One Health. So how does human health, plant health, and animal health kind of come together and interact? We've got a really, really strong school of veterinary medicine, one of the best in the country. It's harder to get into than it is to get into Harvard, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. And so, what are the particular strengths that we can bring to bear? We also have great people in plant sciences. We have a couple of World Food Prize winners. How can we, understand the next, a potential pandemic from something like bird flu? Well, that's all about understanding the intersections between human health, animal health, plant health. So those four initiatives stick out to me, and I think the general question of how do we continue to be really strong in STEM, but also be like broadly comprehensive and give everybody who's here like a chance to kind of stretch their brains in interesting ways. And by the way, feel free to follow up later. I'm happy to tell you everything I can about London and wish you good success.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Anyone else? I see we're at about half past. I know you guys probably have other business you got to get on to, and spring break coming up.
Alrighty. I guess that concludes the time. Well, we appreciate you coming. Everybody, thank Provost Wolf for coming.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm happy to do it again, and I'm sure I'll see a few people at some of the games coming up. And actually, Purdue baseball was first baseball game was tonight too. I think they were winning last time I checked. And yes, I wish you a very good meeting and semester and spring break, and enjoy the lovely weather. Let's enjoy it while it lasts. So
Yes, you
thank you very
too.
much.
Appreciate it.
I'll see you everybody around campus. I am often at the campus Gray House, so I might see you there. Feel free to come and say hi. All right, bye.
Alrighty. At 7:33, I will now call this meeting to order. First, we will get started with our introduction of visitors. If you're a visitor, please state your name and state your affiliation. So if you're the exponent, you would state your name and then state that you're with the exponent. We'll go through the exponent, our Senate Associate members, and proxies. Also, Fast Track, if Fast Track is here. Exponent, you want to start? Is exponent here? Oh, perfect. Perfect.
I'm Ryan. I'm the Senate Associate Member for Dario.
I'm Wiley. I'm the Senate Associate Member for the College of Pharmacy.
I'm Lizzie. I'm a member of the SOGA board.
I'm Laura. I'm Laura. I'm proxying for Senator Hugh tonight for the College of Health and Human Sciences.
I'm Abby, and I'm a member of the SFAP board.
Any other proxies or SAMs? Okay, I will now take roll call. Senator Martin.
Here.
Senator Kaufman.
Here.
Senator Williams. Here. Senator Wolf. Here. Senator Blazek. Here. Senator Garcia. Here. Senator Ali. Senator Grossman.
Here.
Senator Eman. Senator Muscarella.
Here.
Senator Katagari. Senator Walker.
Here.
Senator Hugh.
Proxy.
Senator Alder.
Here.
Senator Rice.
Here.
Senator Benford.
Here.
Senator Bestropoli.
Here.
Senator Pro Tem Montcalm.
Here.
Senator Lachewski.
Here.
Senator Abusada. Proxy. Senator Poyer.
Here.
Senator Hijas.
Here.
Senator Ignacio. Senator Ramazami.
Here.
Senator Koteka. Senator Bergen. Senator D'Isabella. Senator Liu. Senator Ketcher? Senator Nirmal Kumar? Senator Kucera? Senator Stefano? Senator Seminaro? Senator Kalangari? Senator Shankar? Okay. Roll call has concluded. We will now move into land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the traditional homelands of the indigenous people upon which Purdue University is built. We honor and appreciate the Potawatomi, Delaware, Miami, and Shawnee people who are the original indigenous caretakers. We will now move into our pledge of purpose. Senators, please rise. Our purpose is to be the voice of the Purdue student body, serve the needs of students in all university matters, and provide leadership that stimulates initiative and exemplifies professionalism. And above all, hail Purdue. The minutes for the last meeting were distributed by Pro Temp Moncomb. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved as distributed. Now moving into advisory reports, Dr. King.
Have a great spring break. Other than that, I know that there are folks that have been trying to meet with me. I apologize, I was sick last week, and then coming into this week, I've been mandated to go to a couple meetings, so I apologize. I'm working through that. So, if you got a meeting scheduled for next week, you are off spring break. That's fine. But if you again need something, if I am not available, Ryan Connolly, the other PSG advisor, is usually available. If I am not, so if someone else should be. But I look forward to connecting with you all, and again, have a great spring break.
All right, now moving into executive reports. President Packard. Yes, you.
Hello. Spring break next week. Like Markia said. Woo. Also warm out. Nice. Right, it might be right when we go. I think it's like the first time we've had in a while where I showed up and it wasn't dark. Like how crazy. Anyway, the AI advising is going great. I know we announced that and they're kind of all thing, little side branch invented. Anyways, they're killing it. Okay, we're gonna have like a great product, and we're gonna put BSG's name all over it when they're done, and it's gonna be great. Honestly, it's gonna get so much visibility for us. It's gonna be amazing. Eli's gone, but Bod's killing it. M Hall.
Talk about the Jeff Elliott meeting this morning.
The what?
The Jeff Elliott meeting this morning.
Yeah, we met with the head of advising, and he was so impressed with our developer team that he's gonna hire them. So, okay, Mung tasked the advisors with. Oh, actually, I don't know how much this is confidential though. I don't know how much I should say this. I mean, it's going really well though. So, I don't know how much of those beans I should spill. Actually, Becca.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not spilling any of those beans. Okay. Where's that? Bot. Oh yeah, M Hall was last week. That went really well. Let's go. Yeah, Becca, why don't you talk about Lifeline Law?
All right. So this morning we went to the State House. Well, I went to the State House. Jason had an exam, and Paige and Paul and a bunch of other students went to the State House, and we testified in the House Committee, Corrections and Criminal Code. It passed unanimously, 13-0. It went very successfully. We just have to get through the House, and we will have changed state law as students, and I am so grateful for all of your support throughout all of this. But yeah, it hits the House, and then it hits Braun's desk, and we're done. 2 years, almost there. What? Oh, and then education. Yeah, we're not done. I take it back. The second step is education, which we will take on. Okay. Eli has an exam. Pro Tem Mungle?
No updates.
Treasurer Springer?
Not too many updates. As you all know, SFAP's going through Senate. The budget's updated. It should be a pretty accurate number right now if you want to check the budget. We have not too much money left, but we're getting there. I would like to spend it all, as usual, like I've been saying. That's it for me.
Wait, also rewind. How many of you got to meet with your deans? Okay, good. How many of you got to meet with your deans? Yeah. Okay. Okay. If there are any complications with that, reach out to me, or if like there were any communication issues. Okay. Secretary Tom. Oh, she has an exam. Press Secretary Gonzalez.
So tonight I am both press secretary and secretary again, so forgive me for the polls because they're still tricky. But on the press side, we are going to be sending out a briefing on Friday morning right before break. So if you guys have any events that you're like, oh my gosh, people need to know about this before break, or it's coming up right after break, let me know. But other than that, press team's been working really hard. As Becca said, Lifeline Law, so keep your eyes peeled for the briefing about that.
I don't think anybody else is present. Yes.
I just was looking at the budget and talked to Paul about this, but Senate has a good amount of money to use left. So if you want to table push any initiatives on campus, please be willing to do that. Talk to me, talk to Paul. I definitely want to get that going. And we do have a requirement to hold an event on campus as a senator, so make sure we're doing that sheet as well. But yeah, we have plenty of money to use.
Any additional? Yeah, Paul.
I also want to add on, if you all noticed, I have SFAB board members with me. Please ask them questions during informal discussion.
Do I see any additional executive reports? Seeing none, we'll move into committee reports. Internal Affairs, Senator Halder.
Hi guys. So we finished the Constitution review, but not in time for this Senate, so it'll be in the session after spring break. We might start a bylaws review, pending time, and there's no IA legislation on the floor tonight. Thanks.
Financial Affairs, Senator Grossman.
Hello, can you hear me? Yep, seems pretty good. Light's broken. Yeah, so we have 57 grants approved, still setting records for most grants approved ever by PSG. We got a bunch of pending grants that should be approved shortly. And then we also have two sets of bills. We have the stipend set of bills, which is on the floor, and then we have the SFAB confirmation. So, yeah, that'll be great.
Campus and Student Resource Affairs, Senator Rice.
Yeah, we have nothing on the floor this week in terms of bills, but a lot of projects going on, potentially some things on the floor next week. So, as always, if you're interested, just message us.
University and Academic Affairs, Senator Poyer.
Not too much going on this week, continuing progress with Narcan legislation, and then hopefully holding an outreach event with the CCO after spring break. We actually got a Nalox box shipped to the PMU, so very exciting stuff with that. But other than that, not too much going on.
Any ad hoc updates? Senator Williams, Lifeline Law. Senator Ramazami, food accessibility.
Nothing too big. We've been discussing with comms some outreach related stuff. That we can look at. Potentially tabling at admin, so some like maybe projects that we're looking at.
All right, I don't think Senator Disability. Oh yeah, you're here. Okay, perfect. Disability. Perfect. All right, now moving into informal discussion. Do I hear any informal discussion on Bill 2522? 2523? Yeah, do you have? Oh, 2522?
This is more directed towards Paul and your SFAB board member, but I don't know if you guys want to speak on anything else regarding the report. Any information that maybe wasn't shared during caucus or from the perspective of another board member versus just you, Paul.
Sure. I just want to remind you all are voting on the whole report, not any individual allocations. Just a reminder.
Any further informal discussion on Bill 2522? Informal discussion on Bill 25. Oh, sorry.
I'm hoping you already said this, but please know, no one knows this information but the people here. So this is not public information, it should not be shared, whether you know them or don't, but we want to be able to explain to those the why and the how, whether they got it or didn't already said that, but I just don't.
All right. 25, 23. 25, 24. 25, 26. 25. 25, 26. 25, 27. 25, 28. Okay. Oh, yeah.
No, I just have I said mention it during conference, but we have to amend all of these to say spring and not fall.
Oh. It's okay.
Yeah, Paul, can we send that amendment? I know Olivia's planning on doing it during official business, but can you send that to Vice President Senior, please?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it just has to come from a senator, but whatever. Yeah, just put it in a group chat, send it to me. Okay. Any informal discussion on Resolution 2504? Yeah.
Yeah, we discussed that maybe this is might have some actual installation problems. But this is this resolution is just speaking in the capacity of the voice of the student body. All the research in there about how great this initiative is, and yeah, that's all I have to say. Well, as with caucus, if anyone has anything else they want to add, please bring it up now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this might be, I'm not sure, like, this might be kind of a dumb question, but, in terms of, like, I know it's a resolution just to, like, get yogurt into the dining courts, is that also including, like, the on-the-go options? Like, what was, like, the vision for where it would be?
I think it's laid out as dining courts only, and I believe I cite a thing that says that some on-the-go options have yogurt already in little containers sometimes. And so this resolution is really focused on the dining courts as opposed to the on-the-go locations. But maybe if there's inadequate yogurt or it's not Greek yogurt, you could always go and add a resolution about the greatness of Greek yogurt in on-the-go locations.
Do I hear any further informal discussion? Seeing none, moving into unfinished business. Do I hear any unfinished business? Seeing none, moving into new business. Do I hear any new business? Bless you. Can I entertain a motion to bring up Bill 2522?
Move to bring up Bill 2522.
It has been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 2522, 2025-2026 Student Fee Activity Report. This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators. Yes.
I move to amend Bill 2522, the first whereas clause, second line, body treasurer to student body treasurer.
Can I get a second? Second. It has been properly moved and seconded to amend Bill 2522. Do you want to re-say it? Unless you want to send it to me in Slack.
Yeah.
Yeah, just DM me with it. Okay. It has been properly moved and seconded to amend Bill 2522 to, according to Article 3, Section 1, Part C, Subsection 5, Part D, Subsection 2 of the Purdue Student Government Bylaw, student body treasurer is required to serve as a non-voting member on the subordinate body that is called the Student Fee Advisory Board and to assist with the creation of the bill and this whole thing. Okay. To allocate SFAB funds to student organizations at Purdue University for the subsequent academic year and. Correct? Okay, perfect. All right, this is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators in regards to the amendment to the main motion. All right, seeing no debate, we'll move into a vote on the amendment to the main motion. Vote via the Slack poll. Okay. The amendment to the main motion passes. We will now open up debate from senators on the main motion as amended. Do I see any debate? Okay. Are we not changing? Oh wait, never mind. Okay. Seeing no debate, we will move into a vote on the main motion as amended. Bill 2522 passes. Do I hear any additional new business?
To bring up Bill 2523.
It has been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 2523, presentation of previously allocated stipend for Chief Justice Jacob Pranger. This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators. Yep.
I move to amend Bill 2523 to strike the word fall in the therefore clause and insert the word spring.
Okay, wait.
Point of order.
I have yeah.
Can we ask our parliamentarian, is there a way that we can full amend these?
We can't consent calendar, and then because the consent calendar isn't amendable?
Because in order to amend anything in a consent calendar, you have to pull it from a consent calendar.
Oh.
So we put it in consent calendar, we pull everything individually, and then it'd be back to split one.
All right, let's just speed run this, guys. All right.
Point of order again.
Yeah.
Do certain cabinet members need to leave or what?
Oh yeah, probably. Jacob isn't in here right now. But do you want to?
Well, I'm just curious for any other.
You mean just like for like should we leave for Jacob's?
No, like for each person's stipend.
Oh.
Leave during the discussion.
I mean, yes, but I will have to transfer power during mine.
Probably yes.
What?
You probably will.
Yes, correct. Okay. But Jacob's not in the room, so we're good for this one. Okay. So, Senator Williams, you just moved to amend? Perfect. Can I get a second? It has been properly moved and seconded to amend Bill 2523 by changing the fall to spring in the therefore clause. This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators. I'm seeing no debate, so we are going to move into a vote on the main motion as amended. Please vote via the poll. Okay, passes. Okay. We will now open up debate from senators on the main motion as amended. Seeing no debate, we'll move into a vote. A vote on the main motion as amended, so now it says spring. Sorry, this is going to be a headache. Bill 2523 passes. Okay. Do I hear any further new business? Can I entertain a motion to bring up?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 2524, presentation of previously allocated stipend for President Jason Packard. This is amendable and debatable and requires majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators. Yeah. Oh, Jacob. Jason, leave.
Hey, I got a question. Is it in our constitution and bylaws that they need to leave?
No, not to my knowledge. But if you guys feel more comfortable them leaving, I'm fine with that.
Goodbye.
Okay. Do I hear any debate from senators?
I move to amend Bill 2524 to strike the word spring
Can I get a second? It's been probably moved and seconded to amend Bill 2524 by strike and fall and add in spring. This is amendable and debatable and requires majority vote. Do I hear any debate? Seeing no debate, we will move into a vote on the amendment to the main motion. Okay. The amendment to the main motion passes. Okay. We will now open up debate from senators on the amendment to the main motion. Seeing no debate, we'll move into a vote on Bill 2524. Bill 2524 passes. Do I hear any further new business?
I move to bring up Bill 2525.
Second.
It's been probably moved and seconded to bring up Bill 2525, presentation of previously allocated stipend for Treasurer Paul Springer. Paul, will you leave the room, please? This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open a debate from senators. Do I hear any debate?
I move to amend the both clause to strike the word fall and add spring.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to amend Bill 2525 by striking fall and adding spring. This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators. Do I hear any debate? Okay, seeing no debate, we will now move into a vote on the amendment to the main motion. Amendment to the main motion passes. Okay. We will now open up debate from senators on the main motion as amended. Seeing no debate, we will move into a vote on the main motion as amended. Bill 2525 passes. All right, do I hear any other new business?
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 2526, presentation of previously allocated stipend for Chief of Staff Eli Aid. This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators. Do I hear any debate?
I move to amend Bill 2525.
Thank you. Okay. It has been properly moved and seconded to amend Bill 2526 by striking fall and adding spring. This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators. Do I hear any debate? No. Okay, we're going to move into a vote on the amendment to the main motion. Please vote via the poll. Okay, amendment passes. We will now open up debate from senators on the main motion as amended. Do I hear any debate? Seeing none, we will move into a vote on the main motion as amended. We're almost there, guys. There's no debate. Unless you guys want to debate it. Wait, is the last thing I said we're voting on the amendment to 2526? The amended bill. Oh, I see. Passes. Okay. Do I hear any additional new business? It has been properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 2527, presentation of previously allocated stipend for President Pro Tem Owen Monkholm. Please depart. Thank you. This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded to amend Bill 2527 by striking fall and adding spring. This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators. Do I hear any debate? All right. Yeah, okay. Seeing no debate, we will move into a vote on the amendment to the main motion. Perfect. Okay, the amendment to the main motion passes. Okay, we will now move into a vote. Oh, wait, do I hear any debate on the main motion as amended? Seeing no debate, we will move into a vote on the main motion as amended. All right, Bill 2527 passes. Do I hear any other further new business?
Second.
It was properly moved and seconded to bring up Bill 2528, presentation of previously allocated stipend for Vice President Rebecca Senior. This is amendable and debatable and requires a majority vote. We will now open up debate from senators. What? Oh, yeah, I gotta leave. Hold up. Okay. Owen, yeah, Owen's gotta come back. Wait, did you send it in Swagger?
I sent it directly to him.
Well, yeah, I don't think I got it.
Here, just take it.
Yeah, just. The chair will relinquish their position for the handling. Okay. Well, I say that.
Yeah, you said.
Okay. The chair will relinquish their position for the handling of Bill 2528 to Pro Temp Munkholm. It's wait, left, shake with right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kicked out.
Oh my God. Paul, I blame you. I'm joking.
You're good.
Yeah, I got it. I move to bring Resolution 2504.
So in caucus, we already discussed this bill. So for everyone that was here, for those who weren't, it was brought up by Senator Ramaswamy that someone brought up a similar concern within the food accessibility ad hoc. That person talked to someone at Smalley, and they gave a reason why this is already not a thing. I understand Senator Grossman's desire to emphasize the desire body, but I think that resolutions become more impactful, especially the ones that we fight to get all the way up to produce Senate as a whole. Those are more impactful if we only send stuff that we know is actionable by the university. And from what we've heard from Senator Ramaswamy, this is not an actionable item, just due to constraints outside of the university's control. So personally, I will not be voting to pass this, just to maintain the integrity of further resolutions that we may bring up later in the semester.
Yes, Senator Grossman? Oh. Yeah. Oh, it's in a row, and then you can go first.
Yeah, so as it happens, it's my understanding that this will not be sent to the university committee. This is not a bill, this is a resolution. And furthermore, it does not have sent to the university senate steering committee in the therefore clause. So I think that particular concern may be slightly less relevant for this particular resolution. And it's very possible that, so should this bill with two pages of research on it, should this resolution with 2 pages of research on it pass, then, it might inspire, me and Leon, who I wrote the bill with, to go and look and see, oh, well, what would be the real feasibility of this, right? Rather than doing a survey that says, okay, 37 out of 38 Purdue students really want this. Maybe it would be better if we went and talked to, I have emailed the assistant head of dining. We have a little bit of relationship. If I come to her and I say, wow, PSG actually, this is something that students very much do care about, right? It holds a little bit more weight than me saying, oh, just some random senator thinks this might be a good thing. So that's really the impetus behind why I think this is a good resolution and why it may actually get something done in the long run, even if all this is doing is, using our voice as the student body.
Yes, Senator Ramaswamy.
Senator Diaz's Sam Chitania was the one that actually went through the process of researching a resolution just like this a few months ago. He went to Smalley, and the reason why this hasn't been done yet, this has been something that's been brought up multiple times before to community dining, is because yogurt does not have a really long shelf life. And also they don't have the means of sourcing that much yogurt in general. There's a lot of sourcing issues when it comes to just normal yogurt, and to be able to get yogurt in general is kind of a task for dining in general. So having more or different types of yogurt and stuff is just not feasible for their operations. And that's what they told Chitania, which is why we dropped our initiative of going forward with this. So again, I will not be voting to pass this resolution. I think it's an important thing. I think it's really great. But we've also done the research on this, and there's a reason why it's not feasible.
Senator Kaufman.
So, based off of a precedent we set with a similar piece of legislation that we talked about last semester, and kind of going off of what Senator Walker said, I think prioritizing keeping resolutions and bills that we pass to things that are meaningful and impactful, that kind of honors our pledge of inspiring excellence and exemplifying professionalism. And I think by passing something of this nature can undermine the importance of the things we've passed, that we will work to pass in the future, what we've passed in the past. I don't know the exact benefit of doing something like this. I don't want it to necessarily hurt the credibility of the Senate and kind of take away from our impact that we can make here on campus by passing something that may not be actionable or tangible in the future. if you kind of feel that way, I agree that you kind of maybe vote negatively against this.
Do I hear any? Yes, Senator Grossman.
Yep, I totally respect people that choose to vote no on this. I would encourage everyone to really look into all of the research papers that are cited here, as well as other universities. I cited, I believe, Baylor. They're all it took for them to get fixed is someone went and talked to their head of dining and culinary, right? I think maybe part of the reason that this is seen as unactionable is not because students don't want it or it would not be good for students. I found a preponderance of evidence that this would be a good thing for students. There is other yogurt in the dining court. It is far inferior in terms of its health benefits. Right there, I cited the 2020 to 2025 national report for what Americans should be eating, and it says you should replace, sugared yogurt with sugar-free yogurt where possible. And I think this is a really great opportunity to do that. And then I really think that it could be a problem within the Purdue Dining and Culinary Administration. Not all of those administrators are necessarily, their job isn't necessarily to do exactly what's best for the students, even if that is, by and large, the university's goal. I think some of these administrators are here because, they have this much budget to do this many things, and, they see, wow, maybe sugared yogurt is more popular, or maybe it's easier to source sugared yogurt. Right, and this is something that I saw as I discussed in caucus. I went to the University of Illinois, and I saw that they have plain yogurt right next to their vanilla yogurt. And I thought, why should Illinois have better facilities and better dining courts than we have here in Indiana? And that inspired me to go do, copious amounts of research and really think that this is a good thing. And I highly doubt that this resolution would hurt the credibility of the Purdue student government, especially given the extreme amount of research and given the survey, which if anyone wants more results from the survey, there's lots of data in there. Someone accidentally, I collected quite a bit of personal information about people, so I didn't just put a link to the survey there. But yeah, I'd be happy to put more information about that if anyone wants to know what students think.
Senator Martin.
I could be wrong, but doesn't the on-the-go part of the dining hall have Greek yogurt?
Senator Halder.
Okay, 2 points. As a response to from the survey, one of the constituents says that sometimes they'll get on-the-go swipe for yogurt, but that is she might have used in the dining hall otherwise. Sometimes I get on-the-go swipe for yogurt, but then I can't eat a meal due to my limited swipes. And then also regarding the survey, some quotes that weren't chosen for the bill, but I think still pertains to the validity of this bill, is the people who have dietary restrictions and who would like to see more food that can cater to them. And this is a small thing, but I think that it's a small thing that can be spoken about. One criticism that we got from the survey was, why not just improve the food in general? Why not improve the entrees for people who have dietary restrictions? And my response to that was that that's probably a lot harder than just improving the yogurt accessibility. One quote from the survey was, I have dietary restrictions and have to limit my sugar intake, especially of artificial sugars present in the yogurt offered by the dining courts. Another one is, lots of dining hall food isn't accessible for people with dietary restrictions like me. I struggle to find food that makes me feel okay, and having healthy yogurt options, which are the main source of lots of my nutrients at home, would help a lot. So I think this survey is backed by research, and it's backed by desires of the Purdue student body, and I think it is our job to voice those desires.
Yes, Senator Kaufman.
So again, to the point of the credibility of this and potentially undermining what we're doing here, basing an entire bill off of something that was mentioned to have been based off of a survey conducted on less than 1,000th of a of the undergrad student body. And the fact that we've now debated this for longer than we did on the student fee activity report or other more important bills, I would like to go ahead and move previous question.
Alrighty. All right, previous question has been called and seconded. This is not amendable nor debatable and requires a 2/3 vote. Go ahead and vote in the poll. All right, previous question passes. We will now move into a vote on resolution 2504. All right. Resolution 2504 passes. All right. Do I hear any other new business? Seeing none, moving to announcements. Do I hear any announcements?
Point of order.
Yep.
That did not pass.
Wait.
For a bill to pass.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right, resolution 2504 fails. All right, now moving into announcements. Do I hear announcements? Seeing no announcement, moving into Senate snaps. Do I hear any Senate snaps? Yes, Senator Rice.
I want to give Senate snaps a page.
Yeah, Paul.
Send snaps for Owen for making it through being up there.
Senate snaps to all of you for sitting through that one. That was a little painful, but we made it. Yeah.
Senate snaps to Senator Grossman because he continues to push forward some legislation no matter how many times it gets knocked down. So, I see more from him than others. Good job.
Wait, Martia, can you give me 2 minutes? I need to talk to you. Two minutes, please. Pretty please. Yeah.
Senate snaps to Becca for testifying at the State House today.
I was about to make a very similar Senate snap to Grossman, but I will also say to everyone who spoke up in that discussion, that was a really well thought out and researched discussion. Everyone was, sharing important points of view. Thank y'all for speaking up.
Alrighty, seeing no further Senate snaps, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
It has been properly motioned. It is properly moved and seconded to adjourn. This meeting is not amendable nor debatable and requires a 2/3 majority vote. Everybody say aye. All right, this meeting is now adjourned.